Good morning, students. Now, as you can see, we have completed 3 units of Lucknow University syllabus of Data Communication and Networking subject. This session, I will be starting with Unit 4, first topic, that is Session Layer. As you can see, Session Layer is the 5th layer of the OSI model. Now, when we talk about OSI model session layer, the first thing we are going to discuss is what is a session layer, what is its significance in networking, what are the design issues and the services offered by the session layer. Now, to start with, in the 7-layer OSI model of computer networking, the session layer is the layer 5. It responds to service request from the presentation layer and issues service request to the transport layer. That is, this layer works between the presentation and the transport layer. The physical layer, data link layer, and the network layer lack some services such as establishment of a session between the communicating systems. Now, this is managed by the session layer. The service which is not performed by the physical data link and the network layer, that lacking is fulfilled by this session layer, which particularly behaves as a dialogue controller between the communicating systems, thus facilitating the interaction between them. The session layer allows users on different machines to establish active communication sessions between them. Its main aim is to establish, maintain, and synchronize the interaction between the communicating system. So you can see here, students, that 3 main tasks are performed by the session layer. That is establishment of the connection, maintenance of the connection established, and the synchronization among the interaction. The systems which are interacting over the network, unke beech mein synchronization establish karna is again the job of the session layer. The session layer manages and synchronizes conversation between the 2 different applications. In session layer, streams of data are marked and resynchronized properly so that ends of the messages are not cut prematurely and the data losses avoided. So the session layer provides a mechanism for opening, closing, and managing the same thing that we have discussed before between the end user applications. And the session layer services are commonly used in application environments that make use of RPCs. तो session layer में सबसे important चीज जो discuss करने वाली होती है, that is remote procedure call facilities, that is RPCs. That is a second topic that I'll be discussing after this session. Once we are clear with what is a session layer and its services. Now, as you can see, I've given you an example of a session layer protocol. ये objective के point of view से बहुत important है. People, examiner may ask this. That is, name a protocol that works at session layer. So you should be clear with it. I've given you 2 examples, X.225 and ISO 8327. They are the 2 protocols that work at session layer. Okay. In case of a connection loss, this protocol may try to recover the connection. तो एक दूसरा question objective का बनता है, name a protocol which helps in recovering a connection when the connection is lost. अक्सर हम लोग Google Meet पे जब क्लास करते हैं, हमारा connection बीच बीच में loss होता है और फिर वापस से recover करते हैं. तो उस वक्त जो protocol functioning होती है, जो responsible होती है to recover that lost connection, is this protocol, that is X.225, and the layer responsible for that recovery of the lost connection is the session layer. Okay. Now, if a connection is not used for a long period, the session layer protocol may close and reopen it. अक्सर हम लोग मोबाइल में ये रहता है कि हमारा नेट कनेक्टेड है और हम उस वक्त यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो वो टेम्परली डिस्कनेक्ट हो जाता है और सो दैट कि जब वापस से हम आते हैं तो वो उसको रिकनेक्ट करता है. ये काम कौन करता है? Session layer. It provides for full duplex or half duplex operation and provides synchronization points in the stream of exchanging messages. Now I have given you, before looking into the design issues, let's discuss some of the functions of session layer. I have classified the functions of session layer in 3 broad categories. पहला है dialogue control. Dialogue control means allows two systems to enter into a dialogue exchange mechanism, which can either be full or half duplex, that is exchange of messages. Managing tokens is a second function, and synchronization is the third function of session layer. This layer prevents two parties from attempting the same critical operation at the same time. The communicating system in a network try to perform some critical operations, and it is session layer which prevents collision, which might occur while performing these operations, which would otherwise result in a डेटा लॉस. दो लोग अगर साइमल्टेनियस बात करेंगे ऑब्वियसली कुछ नहीं समझ में आएगा, तो एक जो डायलॉग शुरू करता है तो दूसरे को तब तक वेट करना होता है जब तक कि पहला का डायलॉग सेंटर का कंप्लीट ना हो जाए. इसको मैनेज करने का टोकन मैनेजमेंट के थ्रू किया जाता है बाय द सेशन लेयर. Synchronization checkpoints are the midway marks that are added after a particular interval during the stream of data transfer. These points are also referred as synchronization points. The session layer permits processes to add these checkpoints. See, इसका रोल क्या होता है कि अगर हमारा बड़ा मैसेज है वो एक बार में तो स्ट्रीम होगा नहीं, तो जब वो टुकड़ों में जाएगा तो हम बीच बीच में कुछ चेक पॉइंट्स लगा देते हैं, राइट, जहां पर हम ये चेक करते हैं कि क्या प्रॉपर डेटा जो हमने सेंड किया वो रिसीवर के पास रिसीव हो गया. इफ यस, देन नेक्स्ट स्लॉट ट्रांसमिट किया जाता है. I've given you an example to explain this. See, for example, suppose a file of 400 pages is being sent over the network. Then it is highly beneficial to set up a checkpoint for after every 50 pages, so that next 50 pages are sent only when the previous pages are received and acknowledged. हम एक बार में 400 पेज भेज दें और पता चला बीच में 20-30 पेज गायब हो गया, तो हमारे लिए वो जो half or incomplete data मुझे receive होगा, that incomplete file that I'll be receiving at the receiver end is of no use. So how can I avoid this situation? What I can do is for a 400 pages file, I can put a checkpoint after every 50 pages. मतलब पहला 50 पेज भेजने के बाद अब मैं नेक्स्ट 50 तभी भेजूंगी जब तक मुझे पहले 50 का एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं मिल जाता. जब मुझे मिल जाएगा, then I'll send a next lot of 50 pages. Then again I'll wait for the acknowledgement. So this way I'll ensure कि आगे का भेजने से पहले मैं पीछे का ensure कर लूं कि वो आपको मिल गया है या नहीं. So that is for synchronization purpose. और इसमें जो mechanism use होता है वो checkpoint mechanism होता है. We put a checkpoint after certain intervals of data being sent over the network. Now, the main topic, which is a part of my syllabus, design issues. What are the design issues with session layer? Establishment, first is establish sessions. As I said, connection management. Session को establish करना. The establishment of session between machines is an important service provided by session layer. This session is responsible for creating a dialogue between the connected machines. The session layer provides mechanism for opening, closing, and managing a session between the end user processes. So that is the first design issue. Second is enhanced services. Enhanced services में session layer वही checkpoint वाला point. Such as checkpoints and management of tokens are the key features of session layer, and thus it becomes necessary to keep enhancing these features during layer design. Third है token management and synchronization. Session layer plays an important role in preventing collisions of several critical operations, as well as ensuring better data transfer over the network by establishing synchronization points, that is checkpoints, at specific intervals. Thus, it becomes highly important to ensure proper execution of these services. So, यही तीन main points है जो हमने discuss किए. और सर्विसेज वही फंक्शंस जो हैं वो सर्विसेज के टर्म में आ जाते हैं. आई हैव गिवन यू दिस वे अलग अलग हेडिंग में सेम थिंग, बिकॉज क्वेश्चन माइट बी आस्क्ड इन एनी फॉर्म, सो यू शुड बी वेरी क्लियर व्हाट टू आंसर. सेशन लेयर सर्विसेज की अगर बात करें तो तीन है वही, परमिशन, ऑथेंटिकेशन एंड सेशन रेस्टोरेशन, दैट इज चेक पॉइंट्स एंड रिकवरी. Authentication is an act of establishing or confirming something or someone is authentic, that is login. Okay, claims made by things are true or not. This might involve confirming the identity of a person, origins of artifacts, or assuring that a computer program is trusted. That is authentication. Permission or access control. One familiar use of authentication authorization is access control. Computer systems supposed to be used only by authorized must attempt to detect and exclude the unauthorized one. Means access should be given to the authorized people only. So again, it is managed by the session layer. Okay, and checkpoint session layer is responsible for creating several checkpoints. Checkpoints are also treated as recovery points in case of failure of system or rollback to its previous checkpoint configuration or action. Means अब वही 50 pages वाला अगर हमारे बीच का कोई 50 page का block missing है तो my transaction will be roll back to the last checkpoint और उस बीच के जितने unacknowledged pages थे उनको फिर से retransmit किया जाता है, पूरे को retransmit करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So that is the service of the session layer being offered. I hope the introduction of session layer, the design issues and the functions and services offered by session layer are clear to all of you. That's all for this session. Thank you.